Wakatu goes back to our original landowners, pre-European. And then when the European arrived, there was an agreement between our ancestors and basically the Wakefields, really, the New Zealand company. And what was agreed was that of the land that was either surveyed out or was sold, 1/10 of that would be set aside for the use, and in those days they called it the use of the natives. So 1/10 of that should have been set aside. In addition to that 1/10, all of the occupation sites, our urupā, our wahi tapu, our gardens should have also been set aside. And it's interesting to see that some of the sites that are administered by the Crown departments are under their administration, and they haven't been set aside. Right behind me here we have the cathedral. That was an old pa site, and when the missionaries arrived, they were looking for a prominent place, and obviously a lot of the sites of significance for our ancestors were in those places, and so the cathedral was built on top of that site. The name of it's called Pikimai, and it is, as you can see, it is a pretty prominent place here in Nelson. There are many other significant places as well, but Nelson's changed so much because of the reclamation. The shoreline used to come in into way inland and here into Nelson. You'd never recognise that. So we've got an issue with our local council to draw paint the old coastline where it was, and because many people that come to Nelson don't realise that the coastline used to come all the way into here. Also over behind us we have a place called Matangi Awhio, and that was first settled by a rangatira from Whanganui. His name is Pohe, and that was around about the 1400s that he arrived here. And that's a significant place for us, because when the European first arrived, they arrived and that's where they were brought to. And our ancestors manaaki them, looked after them. And so today we have a primary school there, Auckland Point School. That place, there was a house built there because of a lot of our ancestors used to live out among the bays, and when they used to come into Nelson, they had nowhere to stay, so they built a building there for the use of our ancestors when they came back into Nelson. When they built the building, they thought the building was too good, so they gave it to a manager and they built a tin shed. And so our ancestors, when they used to come in, used to stay in. It used to be called the Māori house, and way up in D'Urville Island and around the Cressels, I had an old uncle that used to say they used to row up into the Boulder Bank, collect their kaimana, and then come on into the Māori house. So yeah, there are some really significant sites here. There were 100 1-acre sections that were set aside as a part of those tents that I talked about earlier. And of the 100 1-acre sections, 53 were taken by Public Works Act. And so there are a large number of sites that we had control of that were taken by way of Public Works Act. The site that we're on today was a part of one of those 1-acre sections. And as you can see, there are buildings that we have on those sites. The whole issue was that when those lands were being allocated, they ran out of land. And so on top of the lands that were taken by way of sale, there were also those that were taken by way of Public Works Act. And there are the things like the schools, the churches, the hospitals. And so to date, I think that we're still around about 9,000 to 10,000 acres short of what should have been set aside, and that's part of the grievance. Yeah.